Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to another Cozy Core video. I am once again talking about my favorite franchise ever, How to Train Your Dragon. Today we're looking at the very start of the series. Now, if you're familiar, the franchise started with a picture book written by Cressida Cowell as a way to actualize the story she had been telling for her kids for years, in a world she had been playing in herself as a child. You see, Cressida spent many summers on an uninhabited island off the west coast of Scotland. When she wasn't fishing for her own food, she ran around looking for dragons and writing stories about the adventures she went on. So when she got children of her own, these stories came back to life and led her to write Hiccup, the Viking who was seasick. The picture book follows a small Viking boy named Hiccup, who was seasick. It's a pretty self-explanatory title, I know. The book introduces Hiccup's family, which consists of himself, his father Stoic, who's the chief, and his grandfather on his mother's side, named Old Wrinkly. But no dragons are mentioned. With the success of her book and her own children maturing, she wrote a chapter book aimed at 10 to 13-year-olds called How to Train Your Dragon. The book was the first in a 12-book series, which inspired the movie series by the same name after book 9 had been released in 2010. This is the book I'm going to be talking about today, the chapter book, not the picture book, and not the movie itself. But why am I doing this other than just to fulfill my own autistic need? Well, Hiccup's birthday is on the 29th of February, so I figured that for February I give myself a pass to talk about whatever How to Train Your Dragon related thoughts that I have running around in my head. It's my little treat for the year, but I'll probably talk about them more than just this month. Before I start, I'm going to make it clear that I'm going to spoil the first book, and I'm not going to do as good of a job as the book does retelling the story. So if you haven't already, please go read the book for yourself. David Tennant reads the audiobooks. They're free on YouTube. Please, please, please go check them out. Also, I'm going to be referring to the DreamWorks movie as if you've seen it, because I think if you're here, you at least have seen the movie. So with a happy birthday to Hiccup, and without further ado, let's learn how to train our dragon. The first book opens with a prologue that actualizes Hiccup, the fictional character, as a real person, describing him as the author of these memoirs, although he's better known for his other texts on history and natural science. This is such a good way to introduce the main character. I was willing to die on the hill that Hiccup was a real character when I was a kid. They're just so convincing in making him a realistic person in a realistic world, even though it's so fantastical and there are dragons. And I still believe that he was real, mainly because of this prologue. After that, Hiccup adds an author's note.
There were dragons when I was a boy. There were great, grim sky dragons that nested on the cliff tops like gigantic, scary birds. Little, brown, scuttly dragons that hunted down the mice and rats in well-organised packs. Preposterously huge sea dragons that were 20 times as big as the big blue whale and who killed for the fun of it. You'll have to take my word for it, for the dragons are disappearing so fast they may soon become extinct. Nobody knows what is happening. They're crawling back into the sea from whence they came, leaving not a bone, not a fang in the earth for the men of the future to remember them by. So, in order that these amazing creatures should not be forgotten, I will tell this true story from my childhood.
This sets the scene perfectly for what is about to happen over the next 12 books. And yes, it's amazing that David Tennant reads these books. You may fangirl. We already know from the first paragraph that the dragons will disappear and that Hiccup will be left alone to keep their memory alive. He ends the note by saying,
"This is the story of becoming a hero the hard way."
Chapter 1 throws us into a day in the life of Hiccup, who is a soon-to-be fully fledged Viking, but he has to earn his place in the tribe. So he and the 9 other boys on the island have to complete tasks to prove their manhood and capability. Their first test is called the Dragon Initiation Program, which requires the boys to scale a mountain, steal a sleeping dragon from its nest, and, last but not least, train the beast. This seems exciting to everyone else, but to Hiccup, this is an impossible task. Hiccup is a loner in these books, a social outcast because of his un-Vikingly appearance and demeanor. He has one friend though, Fishlegs, who is equally if not more un-Vikingly. Hiccup has far too much respect for life, and Fishlegs has far too much fear of death.
"Breakfasting with Woden in Valhalla with dragon's teeth in your bottom!" screamed Gobber with horrible enthusiasm. "Death or glory!" yelled Gobber. "Death or glory!" yelled 8 boys back at him fanatically. Death, thought Hiccup and Fishlegs, sadly.
Fishlegs, by the way, he's very sarcastic, and he's a friend of Hiccup's, but he also makes fun of him a lot. Hiccup and Fishlegs bond over being social outcasts and disabled. I'm not saying that as a headcanon or a speculation, it is a very big part of the plot. Anyway, Hiccup has bigger shoes to fill, since he is the son of Chief Stoic the Vast. Hiccup, being the heir to the throne, introduces our side conflict. In the books, Snotlout is unashamedly and actively trying to kill Hiccup. Snotlout so desperately wants to become chief that he will actively try to kill Hiccup. Death and murder are very normalized in these books, and will become even more so as the series progresses and the reader ages. The man teaching these young boys to become Vikings is named Gobber, and he emphasizes the weight of the tasks ahead by ending his instructions for the dragon snatching like this. If you return to this spot without a dragon, it is hardly worth coming back at all. Anybody who fails this task will be put in immediate exile. The hairy hooligan tribe has no use for failures. Only the strong can belong. The first chapter has already done a great job of introducing our characters, their dynamics, their goals, and the overarching plot. But maybe just as important, we learn about the hierarchy of how the Vikings view the dragons.
Oh, suffering scallops, thought Hiccup. "Our dragons are what set us apart," bellowed Gobber. "Lesser humans train hawks to hunt for them, horses to carry them. It is only the Viking heroes who dare to tame the wildest, most dangerous creatures on earth." Gobber spat solemnly into the snow.
Dragons are as intelligent as humans in this universe, but they are treated as nothing more than manpower for dirty work that the humans don't want to do. And you could say it's a metaphor for slavery, but as the books move along, they introduce actual literal slavery, so I wouldn't refer to this as a metaphor just because we do get a more clear representation of actual slavery later on. In this first chapter, we also learn that Hiccup, unlike everyone else, is a massive nerd. He engages in dragon spotting and secrecy, since this is not acceptable Viking behavior. But Hiccup breaks more than the norm. He also breaks the literal laws by speaking with the dragons. Yes, Hiccup's father, the chief, has outlawed the language of the dragons and for humans to converse with the dragons. And yes, the dragons talk in the books, and yes, I'm glad that they didn't animate the dragons' mouths in the movies because that would be kind of freaky looking. And Hiccup has both gone against the laws and taken the time and effort to learn the language to speak with the dragons. This is not some secret gift he has because he is the chosen one. He just learned the language by writing and speaking and using it. they can speak each other's languages, dragons and humans. Dragons choose to not speak Norse, as I understand it, in protest for being held captive and forced to do labor for them. But they understand Norse. They understand the humans when they speak. Humans don't understand dragons because they never take the time to learn, In this chapter, we also learned that there are countless different species of dragons that all have different sizes and reputations in society. Some dragons are seen as authoritative and are meant for chiefs, like the monstrous nightmare, while others are shamefully dull, like the basic brown.
Boasted Snotlout. "Oh, shut up, Snotlout, you can't," said Speedyfist. "Only Hiccup can have a monstrous nightmare. You have to be the son of a chief." Hiccup's father was Stoic the Vast, the fearsome chief of the hairy hooligan tribe. "Hiccup!" sneered Snotlout. "If he's as useless at this as he is at Bashyball, we'll be lucky if he even gets one of the basic browns."
In Chapter 2, we understand that these dragons are dog-sized, and not at all as huge as they are in the movies. This also means that Hiccup will not be riding on the dragon that he catches today. It is purely a hunting dragon. We see that Hiccup has no choice in picking his dragon. Rather, he grabs one hastily as he nearly escapes the horde of dragons chasing him. In Chapter 3, Hiccup and Fishlegs get really high hopes for this mysterious dragon, as they think that the lack of choice Hiccup had in picking his dragon means that the dragon represents his fate. It's predictive of Hiccup's future. Whether this is true or not is up for the reader to decide, because when they open the basket that the dragon is resting in, they see
the most common or garden dragon Hiccup had ever seen. Absolutely the only extraordinary thing about this dragon was how extraordinarily small it was.
In Chapter 4, they name the dragon Toothless, after Snotlout mocks his lack of teeth, which I think is a really cruel way of naming someone. If you remember the title, Hiccup's goal is to train Toothless. But unfortunately, in the following chapters, Toothless's personality becomes apparent. He's a bratty kid with no desire whatsoever in helping Hiccup. Toothless has far too much pride and far too much despise for humans, as well as just a general lack of athleticism. Regardless, Hiccup is determined. To become a member of his tribe, he has to teach Toothless to follow basic commands like sit, stay, and fetch fish. But as you can tell, Hiccup is incompetent and Toothless is a hater, so they're not getting anywhere. Fishlegs encourages him to speak Dragonese with Toothless to try to gain his respect. But Toothless is a greedy brat who can only be motivated by the promise of food. Important to note is that all dragons are not like Toothless. Fishlegs' dragon is a basic brown he named Horror Cow. She's soft-spoken, gentle, obedient, and very adamantly a vegetarian. Snotlout's dragon is a monstrous nightmare he named Fireworm, and she is just as sassy and snide as he is. In Chapter 7, Stoic shows that he's concerned about Hiccup's progress with Toothless. He knows that he himself will have to exile Hiccup if he fails to train the dragon. At the same time, he doesn't want to mistrust his own son's ability. So when Hiccup and Fishlegs come up with excuses for Toothless inobedience, Stoic is happy to stay oblivious and trusting that Hiccup will manage to train the dragon and prove his worth. In Chapter 10, it is finally time for the 10 boys to prove their worth and secure their place in the tribe. But unfortunately, all boys fail, meaning they will all be exiled. Hiccup protests his father's decision and, rather selfishly, argues that Stoic was personally unfair to him. What kind of father values the laws above his own son? While Stoic contemplates this moral dilemma, a dragon the size of the whole island washes up on their shore. The adults of the tribe use their dragon training expertise to try to order the dragon to leave them alone, but the dragon doesn't care. Hiccup, now revealed to be able to converse with the dragons, is asked to talk to the dragon and beg it to leave. Hiccup says, "So if I kill myself talking to that beast from hell, will I be considered heroic enough to join the tribe?" His father agrees, and so he does. Chapter 12 follows Hiccup's conversation with the dragon named the Green Death. He tells Hiccup that he likes a good riddle and would enjoy playing mind games, but he would still kill him and everyone in his tribe. Hiccup decides that this dragon cannot be argued with, and it cannot be ordered to leave, so they will have to kill it. In Chapter 18, the Green Death has finally been killed thanks to Hiccup's creative plans. But not before the dragon swallows Hiccup whole. It is then that Toothless finally commits a selfless act, swallowing his pride, and sacrifices himself to save Hiccup. This final scene is so visually beautiful, and it's clear that the movie heavily relies on this plot point in its adaptation. If you've ever seen the movie, you'd know that Hiccup wakes up from the big dragon battle, finding himself with an amputated leg, matching Toothless's amputated tail. In the movie, this is a visual representation of the equality between Hiccup's and Toothless sacrifices, as well as dragons' and humans' status in the society they live in. In the book, Hiccup wakes up to see Toothless being given a proper Viking funeral, which is another way to show that the humans and dragons are more equal now. The book ends with an epilogue that encourages the reader to find out more, because now we know from the prologue that one day all the dragons will disappear, but we still have no clue why or how. All we know is that we sympathize with the dragons, and that the dragons deserve a better life than they are currently given by the Vikings. Even though some of them can be dangerous, and some of them have to be killed. The ones who kill humans always have a reason as to why, and to find out why the Green Death wanted to kill Hiccup's tribe so badly, you will have to read up until book 8 at the very least. Cressida has a very unique art style. It's scratchy and it looks like it could have been done by the kid reading the book. It inspired me as a kid because I felt like I can draw something like that. It felt like an entryway into the world of art for me. It made drawing tangible for me. I also love the art of Cressida Cowell's writing style. She intentionally misspells words and uses poor grammar to emphasize emotions and characters' personality. Like at page 157 where she spells, "What do you mean by asking Hiccup?" as one word. Cressida told me herself when I met her that her books are written for parents to read aloud to their kids. That's part of the reason the audiobooks work so well, but David Tennant being the narrator obviously helps too. Her writing style has resulted in her fan base being largely dyslexic, which to me is so wonderful because I am also dyslexic, and it is a wonderful thing to see dyslexic people being united by reading books, the very thing that is difficult for us. Cressida in turn made the main character of her other book series dyslexic and an author, so she sees us and she respects us, which makes me very happy. I also love how brutal she is in naming her characters. I commented on Hiccup being cruel for naming Toothless after an insult, but it seems everyone in the tribe is. The movies open with Hiccup explaining that Vikings are given terrible names to scare away trolls. This, as far as I'm aware, is not mentioned in the books, but it is a nice way of looking at it. Hiccup's name, however, is maybe not the most horrible sounding, but it is the most horrible meaning. And you learn about that in Book 8 as well. There, it is also explained why the Green Death, when he hears Hiccup's name, he shudders and stutters. He can't really remember why, but that name means so much to him, before Hiccup kills him. Hiccup is a great main character because he is flawed. He's not a Mary Sue in the traditional sense. Personally, I think that he should have died sooner. I think he has ridiculous plot armor, but he's still not a great character just because he survives. The villain of the story actively survives the same situations and dangers that Hiccup does, and the villain isn't good just because he survives, just like Hiccup isn't good just because he survives. Hiccup in the books, compared to Hiccup in the movies, is also very liberal with killing dragons. He doesn't have a problem with killing them. Hiccup's character is very stereotypical underdog nerd. He would make a great main character in a Disney Channel show. But his plans don't always work out, and he often accidentally ends up hurting people around him. I like, especially in Book 1, how when he tries to do things on his own, it doesn't go anywhere. Even though he's more knowledgeable than the rest of his tribe, he needs the rest of them to succeed. I remember when my sister introduced me to the books, her main selling point was that Hiccup didn't have the coolest dragon of them all. Instead, he had the lamest dragon. And I was like, that's so odd. This is so interesting. I need to understand how they make Hiccup a cool character without his cool dragon. But I think it works so much better that Hiccup is like fully weak and like a true weak link of the tribe. He truly messes stuff up for everyone by just being himself. But by being himself, he also makes everything better. Arguably, I wouldn't say that the ending of Book 12 has a better society because of Hiccup, but you know, he tries. he fails a lot and he causes a lot of issues, but he tries and he has very good intentions. He's a very likable character. I called Hiccup selfish earlier when I talked about him arguing with his father about the exile. I don't actually think Hiccup is selfish for wanting his father to value him above his laws, but think of it in a current context. If the king or the president or someone really important who makes the laws had a child who broke the law, and the child was like, hey, you should not punish me because I'm your son and I should matter more to you than the law. That's not so obvious. That's not as clear as Hiccup makes it out to be. Obviously, as the reader, we agree with Hiccup because the law is stupid and very close to eugenics, I would argue. So it is a dumb law that should be broken for the sake of Hiccup being protected by his father. But I like the way it's phrased because we can also see Stoic's point of view that, like, I can't just give you special treatment because you're my son. I can't just exempt you from breaking the law. I like that because Hiccup is not boring because of it. He actively makes everyone question their morals, and sometimes Hiccup is wrong, sometimes Hiccup is right. To me, this makes Hiccup more relatable because it feels like he's not given grace just because he's the special one and just because he is capable of doing things that no one else can. He earns everything he gets, and he deserves so much more than he actually does get. And as a reader, that's very gratifying. If you haven't read the books already, I highly recommend you read them. And if you have read them already, I highly recommend you reread them. There is so much value and reward in rereading, especially the first book, if you've read the ending or at least until the 8th book, because later on in the series, when heavier plot points are explained, you see the first book as something completely different. And even though it's great on the first read, the reread makes it just a million times better. Even if you're very old, it doesn't matter what your age group is. I've never heard anyone say that the books are worse on reread or that the books don't hold up as you age. I've only heard the opposite, saying that the books are so much better when you come back as an adult. And of course, when you've read the ending and you know what happens to the dragons, you know what the prologue is referring to. There were dragons when he was a boy. Past tense, holy shit, I'm gonna cry again. The books are just a great jumping off point for the franchise. It's so inspiring. Just rereading the first book to write this script made me want to write fanfiction so bad, which actually I did. Well, I started at least. You can read it on my website. It's linked on my profile. Also, please, if you're a fan of the series, if you read the books, if you watched the movies, go to Tumblr. There is so much fan art and fanfiction and memes and everything. I love that the community is alive and well, and there is so much fan-created content on Tumblr. But before you go to Tumblr, I want to say I hope you have a wonderful 2026. Whenever you are celebrating, whenever you are watching this, I hope you have a wonderful day, night, or evening. Always remember that you are loved. Bye bye!